Redline Logbook here, and this is Danmachi Dungeon Survival Guide, Chapter 1, The Upper Floors. Now, the upper floors make up the first 12 floors of the dungeon, and of course, those 12 floors are separated into subsections. The first section are floors 1 through 4. These floors are light blue, with a very stony feel to them. The funny thing is, the dungeon here emits some kind of artificial light. It's the area dim, but bright enough for a normal person to see. And if you have a fauna, then you can basically see it like you're out in daylight. The monsters that spawn here are the weakest in the dungeon thanks to Uranus's prayers. As such, people who adventure in this area are recommended to have a level I to H as a level 1. You will come in contact with monsters like goblins, which are considered the weakest monsters out there. Well, the combat type monsters are non-combat monsters. Goblins are so weak they're classified as a level 0. In other words, they're as weak as a human being who isn't blessed by a god. In fact, a newbie level 1 can usually just get pummeled by a goblin once and twice and be able to walk away fine. That's kind of the whole point of why usually the first monster everyone kills. Their common drop item is a goblin fang. Alongside them, you'll meet kobolds. Kobolds are basically dogs with a human-like body. They might be stronger than a goblin, but for the most part, you're basically just killing a wild dog. Common drop item is a kobold nail. Another monster you'll find is a jackbird, but odds are you'll never find it. It's extremely rare. Jackbirds are yellow-green roosters that lay golden eggs. That's right, they lay golden eggs. They're also extremely fast. They do not fight, they run away if they see any danger, which is why they're so rare, because you basically have to sneak up on it to catch it. Starting at the second floor, you'll meet dungeon lizard. These are giant lizards, about 3 feet long, that crawl on the walls of the dungeon. Section 2 is floors 5 through 7. These are all rocky, again, just like the other floors, but these are green now. It's recommended for adventurers with G skill, if you're level 1, to be adventuring in these floors. This is also where adventures really start to die, because scale between the monsters all of a sudden become more powerful. For example, frog shooters, which are giant frogs with one eye, able to shoot out their tongue roughly 2 yards. But the real killers are the killer ants. The killer ants are giant 4-foot-long ants with exoskeletons about as strong as steel. It's recommended usually to avoid them, but if you have to fight them, use magic or try to stab between their carapaces. And do it in a single strike as well, because if you injure one, it will release a pheromone that will attract more of them. And once you are swarmed, you are most likely going to be ripped apart. This is why killer ants are referred to as the rookie killers. Standing a little over 5 feet tall, we have war shadows. These are humanoid creatures that are completely black with 3-pronged fingers that are as sharp as knives. They seem to be the most intelligent of the monsters living on the upper floors because they have a very wait-and-see way of fighting, where they make sure to get you off guard before they strike. Next, we have purple moths. Purple moths are the first monsters you'll encounter that release poison. They release a certain type of dust from their wings. After a certain point of time, will lead your body to become numb and then eventually sick and possibly even die if you do not get the medicine. The medicine is very common and cheap. Their common drop item are their wing. Next up are needle rabbits. Needle rabbits are, well, rabbits with a horn. That's all it is to it. They single horn its head like a unicorn. They're fast, and they will use that speed to stab you straight in the stomach. That's about it. Their common drop item is that horn of theirs. And the final monster that you might be able to interact with on this section are blue pebbillos. These guys are giant butterflies that release healing spores that heal the monsters that are attacking you. Yes, they're a support monster. If you are able to kill them, odds are they'll drop their wings, and these wings are then used for healing potions, or stamina potions, or really anything that has a positive effect. They're very rare, very valuable. The next section of the dungeon are floors 8 and 9. This is actually when the dungeon starts to become more organic looking. The walls and the ground are more like dirt than stone. Grass starts to grow in like a field, and moss starts to grow on the walls and the ceiling. It's almost like you're outside in a field. It's recommended that level 1s have at least an E stat to be in this part of the dungeon. The reason for that is because these 2 floors, every single monster that spawned above them spawn here, but stronger, including goblins and kobolds. So yes, you have to deal with these stronger versions of the ants, the goblins, the kobolds, the needle rabbits, everything. Everything that you fought so far, here, but better. And the final section of the upper floors are floors 10 through 12. These floors are just like 8 and 9, where they have a grassy field, earth walls, moss, and such, but there's a slight difference, and that is there's a massive amount of mist covering the area making it hard to see. Landforms also start to be produced here that look like giant dead trees. In reality, they're just clubs. Two things are recommended when venturing in this area. One, you have your stats being at least level B, and two, destroy all landforms before you start fighting the monsters. The reason why is, once again, they're club. And the monsters that will use these clubs are the orcs. They stand roughly 2 meters tall, green skin, potbellies, pig-like face. They are not the fastest nor the brightest, but they are strong, and they will crush you in an instant. A common drop item is orc hide, which is usually used for armor for low-level adventurers. Imps are small gremlin-like monsters that are gray, very bony looking, sunken eyes, and they usually fight in packs while at the same time using the mist that covers the area to hide, so they can do sneak attack. Because of this way of fighting, they're actually considered more dangerous than orc. So if you ever are fighting an imp, remember, there's more than one. There always is. They're just hiding in the mist. Next up are bad bats. Bad bats aren't just on the upper floors, they're actually in the middle floors all the way to floor 15. But the ones in the upper floors are, of course, weaker. They're bat monsters that are roughly 2 feet long wingspan, and they fight by shooting out a sonic wave that stuns and confuses you. This attack is actually pretty hard to avoid because it's not like you can cover your ears, because then you'll both be deaf and blind. And in these floors, you're basically just dead at that point. So you just have to kill them as soon as you see them. That's really the only option you have. That or run. Next up are hard armors. Hard armors are about 2 foot tall armadillo monsters that like to roll into their shell and then basically turn into a bouncing ball that crushes you. Their shell is so hard that a level 1 adventurer cannot really cut through it. To cut through them, you're going to need a sword usually made from a professional craftsman using items from the middle floors. Either that or magic. So you either have to know magic, plenty of some cash, or a pretty good weapon. Next up are silverbacks. Silverbacks are white-furred gorillas with a patch of silver on their back. They are considered the strongest monster on the upper floors, and basically, if you come in contact with this and you're not ready for it, you're most likely going to die. They're also intelligent enough to use the landforms as weapons, and also to use the fog as an ambush thing as well. Intelligence plus strength, they're truly a monster to deal with. Infant dragons. Infant dragons are treated as the floor boss of the upper floors, even though the upper floors don't actually have a floor boss. They're extremely rare. Odds are you won't see one because only 3 or 4 can spawn at a time. But if you do see one, fighting potential is that of a level 2. The level of a monster isn't created equal. What I mean by this is the infant dragon is classified as a level 2, but so is the minotaur. But just like how there are adventurers whose skills are up and down depending on what they are, a level 2 adventurer can be way stronger than another level 2 adventurer. Same thing with monsters. The baby dragon is probably somewhere in the lower to mid-range area of a level 2 monster, while the minotaur, of course, would be the upper end. Which means a group of about 20 to 30 level 1 adventurers can actually kill a baby dragon. Oh yes, and its name might be Infant Dragon, but it's not a child of any kind. All monsters when born are born fully grown. It's called an infant dragon because it's so very small. It's only about 5 feet tall. Now it is about, I would say, 10 to 13 feet long, so it is an impressive sized creature. That's why it's called Infant Dragon, because it is just a small brachiosaur looking creature. Alright, that is the end of chapter 1. Next up, the middle floors. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Danmachi and other amazing things. Thank you, and have a great day.